New Era Cap Company is a headwear manufacturer. New Era was founded in 1920 by German immigrant Enright Koch. By 1922, Enright's New Era Cap Company was producing nearly 60,000 Gatsby-style fashion caps per year. In 1934, New Era launched its first professional baseball cap, which would become the staple for the next 100 years. The first New Era baseball cap was produced for the Cleveland Indians, who bought a home and an away version of the baseball hat. In 1954, the 5950 baseball cap was born. This same style of hat can be bought in today's world. In 1993, New Era ensured its future when they became the exclusive supplier of on-the-field baseball hats for the Major League Baseball teams around the country. Shortly after becoming the exclusive on-the-field hat for Major League Baseball, New Era became the official on-the-field hat for the National Football League starting in 2012. Over the years, New Era has adopted many different hat styles to fit all of their customers' needs. One hat that has stayed virtually unchanged is their 5950 hat.
Prior to 2007, the new Era 5950 cap was composed entirely of wool. However, due to what was primarily the demand of athletes, the company decided to revolutionize the cap. They opted to change the cap's composition from wool to 100% made of polyester. This was mainly to make the cap more durable, less prone to shrinkage, more moisture efficient, and having its shape altered over time. Further, 2012 saw the addition of UV protecting and infrared light reflecting capabilities added to the material to ensure that the user's health and safety remained a top priority. Now let's look at the polyester. It became immensely popular in the 1990s. It is even used in astronauts' underwear, deep sea diving suits, and as ear warmers for calves during winter. The materials used in the production of polyester are terephthalic acid and ethylene glycol, both of which are petroleum derivatives or products. Dyes for colour and Teflon are also used to complete the product. Terephthalic acid and ethylene glycol are both byproducts of petroleum or crude oil when processed in oil refineries. Plants that predominantly manufacture terephthalic acid are found largely in India, China, and Belgium. The year 2006 saw a production of 42 million tonnes of it. The production of ethylene glycol has also seen a shift to Asia, as the production is mainly taken in India and China there. 2007 saw an estimated 17.8 million tonnes of glycol and ethanol produced. Let's quickly examine the petroleum from which these two substances are derived from. Petroleum is a non-renewable energy source found in geological formations deep below the surface of the Earth. Being a fossil fuel, petroleum is formed when large masses of deceased organisms, namely plankton and algae among other sea animals, are buried deep underneath rock and are exposed to heat and extreme pressure, over time condensing it into a thick liquid. Although naturally occurring petroleum springs do exist in rare quantities, petroleum is predominantly gathered through oil drilling, which occurs both at land and at sea all over the world in colossal quantities. In fact, it is estimated that 88 million barrels of oil are used daily globally. Naturally, this is affecting the world in a negative manner as emissions and pollutants are released into the air, which is detrimental to the ozone layer, this being the major contributor to the phenomena known as global warming. Further, there is a finite amount of fossil fuels on the Earth which are quickly becoming depleted, which means that if we don't find an alternative soon, there will be a global catastrophe. Now that we've examined what goes into the hat itself, let's take a look at how it is actually constructed. The terephthalic acid and ethanol glycol are combined and mixed in a vat at an approximate 260 to 290 degrees Celsius or 500 to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, which forms a new liquid, which is the polyester. As it cools, it turns into a thick, syrup-like liquid which is then forced through tiny holes in a metal disc called a spinneret. As these streams of liquid combine with air, they cool, harden, and form strings which are woven together to form into a polyester fleece. Firstly, sheets of the fleece are placed onto a cutting table which cuts out shapes including the front, middles, back, visor, and under visor. The front, back, and side and visor is sewed together. The sides are then sewed on, forming a crown. The logo is then designed and manufactured on an embroidery machine, requiring a whopping 22,000 stitches to complete, onto the front of the cap. Further panel stitching is attached all over, reinforcing the cap shape. Then the visor is restitched again for strength. An inner headband is attached inside the cap for the purpose of absorbing sweat, as well as a label documenting the hat's details and specifications. A top stitch is then added to hold the headband and cap together. A button is then placed on the top. It is then steamed, cleaned, and a sticker is applied for the finishing touch before it is shipped away to be sold. The manufacturing of 5950 caps was completely done in the USA until 2001, when New Era began outsourcing the production of the hat to China in response to an unprecedented high level of consumer demand, in addition to the cheap labour that could be found there. We were unable to find specific details as to the ratio of hats currently constructed in both the US and in China respectively. However, it is interesting to note that many consumers believe the China-made hats to be of diminished quality in comparison to the US-made hats.
New Era distributes the 30 million hats made over each year and sends them to 40 different countries around the world. Of these 40 different countries, we'll see some of the regions of the world which are impacted the most in the sales of New Era caps, and some of the different cities that New Era exposes their brand to across the world. We'll also take a dive into a few of the 200 different licensures that New Era Caps has current contracts with. We may have come to know that New Era is a very popular brand for our hats here in America. It should also be known that New Era's distribution to distributors around the globe is something that very much keeps his company growing and successful. New Era caps are exclusively distributed to satellite companies in the Asia Pacific, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and here in the United States. New Era has its headquarters for the Asia Pacific currently in Hong Kong. This rapidly growing city of 7.2 million people are becoming more and more influenced by the Western culture, and particularly fashion. Other cities in the Asia Pacific region that New Era distributes to is Australia, South Korea, China, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Singapore. New Era currently has distribution locations in many of the European countries such as Belgium, France, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Greece, Holland, Hungary, and Spain. The countries in Africa that New Era currently has distribution locations with are in Jordan, Morocco, and Tanzania. The majority of New Era's current global offices are located here in the United States. Offices are located in Buffalo, New York, Derby, New York, Jackson, Alabama, Mobile, Alabama, and Irvine, California. New Era has current licensures with the Major League Baseball League and the Minor League. They officially license all 30 MLB teams and also all 240 minor league teams. New Era is the official license cap of the NHL and the USA hockey team. They are the official brand cap of all 30 NHL teams. New Era is also the leading cap and officially licensed with the National Basketball Association. They license all 30 of the league's teams. They also license the NBA's Hardwood Classic Series, and developed special caps for these participating teams. New Era's largest licensure contract is with the official licensed collegiate products, who now brands up to 250 universities a year.
New Era is just like any other company that uses common methods of transportation, such as trucks and planes, to get their products out of the manufacturing warehouses to retailers and consumers. New Era has 11 company stores, 6 flagship stores, and many retail locations that sell New Era products around the world. An average delivery consists of 70 to 100 product pieces that could be delivered weekly or bi-weekly through services such as UPS. When New Era decides to use semi-trucks, it may be common and convenient, but it does cause harm to the environment and the population. These trucks are one of the biggest sources of pollution. Diesel soot is a toxic air pollutant linked to human cancer. A new analysis by state and local clean air regulators concludes that more than 125,000 Americans will get cancer from diesel fumes. Big trucks are legally allowed to emit as much pollution as several dozen of today's cars, but many big trucks actually emit as much pollution as 150 cars. It's not only the semi-trucks who are at fault, but also planes. When New Era transports their 5950 hats to stores abroad, such as Tokyo, Toronto, and London, the exhaust gases from both the planes and trucks put carbon dioxide in the air, which also worsens the greenhouse effect.
So, what happens to the hat in the final stages of its life cycle? There are a few options that have varying effects towards the environment. Many hats are simply tossed in the garbage. Hats can be stripped to be recycled polyester. Hats are often collected as a hobby, and some are donated to thrift stores. Because our hats are made of 100% polyester, it is not going to decompose anytime soon. By throwing the hats into the trash, it works its way into the already overflowing landfill to sit there for the next 700 years or so. Man-made fabrics like nylon and polyester are used in many clothing items. Many people are unaware of the effects of throwing out their old polyester items. Because polyester is a synthetic man-made fabric made of ethylene, a byproduct of petroleum, it is obviously not good for the environment as it decomposes back into the earth. If you plan on getting rid of your hat, one option could be to recycle the material. There are two types of textile recycling: fiber recycling and polymer recycling. Fiber recycling means your garment is shredded back into the fibers and typically blended with new fibers to make new yarn and a new clothing item. Polymer recycling is typically used with polyesters that are shredded and ultimately melted down and turned into plastic pellets that are then respun into new fibers for new polyester applications. In the early 1990s, the company Patagonia started creating their products from recycled polyester fabrics and plastic bottles. Over the years, they have removed millions of bottles from the landfills and used them in their products. They also have a policy where customers can send their worn-out polyester products back to the store, and they will use the recycled fabric to make more products. By recycling the fabric and converting the plastic bottles into polyester thread, they are reducing carbon output by 75%. Because more than 51 billion plastic bottles end up in the landfills every year, there should be no shortage for creating recycled polyester. There are many people who love New Era products. New Era is a fast-growing company with many fun and unique hats. Many people choose to hang on to their hats for several years, expanding their collection for years to come. The most popular hats are their traditional baseball hats, but for collectors, they don't stop there. There are a lot of different unique New Era hats. There are Disney-themed hats, superhero-themed hats, DC Shoe Company hats, Star Wars-themed hats, and many more in just about every color imaginable. A large number of collectors look to the internet to share their love for New Era. The website neweracaptalk.com has thousands of members who share this special common interest. Here they are able to talk about their collection, talk about new products, or buy and sell their hats. If you are unable to recycle or collect your worn out hat, donating to a thrift store is always a good option. Many communities have multiple thrift stores. The most recognizable are the Goodwill, the Salvation Army, and Disabled American Veterans, DAV. All of these places accept used, clean clothing items. New Era may not be a perfect model for environmentally friendly business practices. However, we are unable to find any reason not to support their brand.